welcome to this week's review of Walk Hard, starring John C. Reilly.
Showtime. Mr. Cox? Mr. Cox.
Give him a minute, son. Dewey Cox needs to think about his entire life before he plays.
From the time he was a boy.
Ain't no 6-year-old understand the true meaning of the blues.
I reckon I might.
I done a bad thing. Cut my brother in half.
It's not bad for your first time.
The music of Dewey Cox
Take my hand.
has had an effect on people.
It's the devil's music.
From the guy who brought you Talladega Nights and Superbad.
I've got to give up this dream. You're never gonna make it.
And maybe you don't believe in me after all.
I do believe in you. I just know you're gonna fail.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out this movie has some pretty dumb humor.
You can take the children, but you leave me my monkey.
And these types of films are hit or miss. The last time I saw a movie of this nature was Hot Rod. And I think we all know what happened with that one. And it's really hard to know if a movie like this will work for you. Movies that use this type of humor, you either love it or you hate it. There isn't much middle ground. Some of you already know that Judd Apatow is one of the writers of Walk Hard, so that immediately gives us some street cred after the recent success of 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, and Superbad. And first off, this is not from the same mold as those films, so don't expect it to be like those movies at all. And I'm sure some people are probably a little surprised that Will Ferrell didn't land this role, because this is right in his wheelhouse. I actually like the casting of John C. Reilly for this movie. He's an exceptional actor that typically plays a second or third actor, not the lead. But I knew when they cast him for this film that it was a good thing for this movie and that he could pull it off. There's almost a whole new level of stupidity in this film. And this movie makes Beavis and Butthead look like Einstein and Newton. And this is setting the bar pretty high for all the stupid comedies to follow. So if this is your thing, then you're going to love this movie. I must say, this doesn't have a lot of nudity, but what it does have is in-your-face nudity. And I'm talking full frontal, baby. Male full frontal nudity. 3 separate times in the movie, we're graced with the presence of some guy's jewels for no other reason than for me to say in this review, some guy's junk found its way on the screen multiple times during the film. It served no other purpose. I will say I did have a few good laughs during the film, both because it was actually funny and because it was so dumb, I just had to sit there and think, wow, this is a whole new level of stupidity rarely achieved on film. And sure, there are some dumb things all over the world, but usually they don't get paid for producing it. This reminds me of the scene from Idiocracy, where the #1 film of the year in 2505 was a movie called Ass, and that's all it was for 90 minutes. And it won the Oscars that year, including Best Screenplay. And at this rate, I think we could hit this point in less than 20 years. This movie is getting pretty good reviews for a film of this nature. And I think because it mocks the movies like Ray and Walk the Line pretty well, along with going through all the phases of music from soul to pop to even his own variety show. And I think it does touch on all the phases of stardom as well. Tim Meadows was also really good in his supporting role, and a scene that was probably the best for me was when Dewey walks into the room where they're all smoking joints, and that dialogue was probably some of the best in the film.
Join the party.
No, Dewey, you don't want this. Get out of here.
The ending was actually pretty good, and it probably had one of the stronger endings for this type of film. And I think it reflects on so many aspects of the career of a pop icon that people will enjoy it for its well-rounded spoof on the life of stars like Elvis, Ray Charles, and of course, Johnny Cash. Now I will note that some of the humor can be pretty offensive at times, so if you're easily offended, you might want to skip this one. Overall, I would say this was a little better than I expected. I didn't love it like some others did, but I will say it had its moments. So if you're not a big fan of Will Ferrell movies, or films that have a similar type of humor, I'd probably skip this one. But if you like most of Will Ferrell's movies, then this would be good for at least a few laughs, and easily worth the ticket. For my overall rating, I give Walk Hard 2.5 stars.
It's not gonna make me want to have sex, is it?
It makes sex even better.
Sounds kind of expensive.
It's the cheapest drug there is. You don't want it.
I think I kind of want it.
Okay, but just this once. Come on in.